The Elks lose in heartbreaking fashion down at Commonwealth Stadium at the Play Alberta field. 28-24. They lose to the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. And that was, I mean, we're going to dive into this all, break this whole game down. Immediately, we have to talk about the finish of the game. Okay? We have to talk about a player that has routinely dropped touchdown catches in Kion Julian Grant.
Yeah, that was a tough drop.
That catch would have put this team ahead with 1 minute left in the game. If you recall earlier in the season, Kion Julian Grant had one go directly off his helmet.
Remember that?
In the end zone. Last week, Kion Julian Grant had a big drop, albeit he made up for it on the next play. And, turned that next catch into a touchdown. This is the difference between winning and losing. That last play, that finish, that dropped touchdown pass is what it takes, the smallest of margins, to take a team from 1-6 to 2-5 and totally, completely change the outlook for this season. One play. They say football is a game of inches. And that proved it. That absolutely proved it. You want to talk about inches? You talk about them going for it 2 times from the 1 yard line after Justin Rankin was very close to getting in. Then they get stuffed. Then they get stuffed again. That was a 7-play drive that stalled out prior, 2 minutes left in the first half. Football is a game of inches, and the Elks couldn't grab one and take the damn reins on this game to make it happen.
That's fair. But you know what? They were getting those inches in the first half. The first half, that was a competitive football game. And you know, we saw a different team on the field after the delay. I think that's a factor here. I mean, I don't want to obviously let our boys off the hook for dropping balls, but that got to play some factor in the outcome of the game, considering how solid they had played leading up to that point. Now, obviously, there were some moments in the third quarter where they didn't look sharp. They looked a little sloppy, a couple 2-and-outs. But, Jay, I don't think it's all bad. I think there's some really good takeaways here. I think, I thought they should have won the game.
And they should have won the game.
They should have won the game, and they didn't, obviously. But there are a lot of good things to build from here, right? That defense stepped up. The O-line stepped up. The boys ran the ball well. They controlled the pace of the game. They were running the ball, which allowed them to set up the passing game. Fajardo was almost flawless today. Like, there are some really good things here that I think we can build from. And maybe there's some moves that need to be made to make sure that, the drop balls and things don't get, in the way any further and continue to slow the team down. But you know what? The defense looked all right.
The defense looked great. I mean, you can't, you're giving up 28 points to Bo Levi Mitchell. Would have you liked to have seen them hold them to a field goal there near the end of the game?
Yeah, obviously.
Absolutely. They had a 2nd and 10. Defense did their job on first down. They had a 2nd and 10 that they converted into a touchdown. Now, at the moment, we were all sitting there saying, hey, that's probably the best thing that could have happened. If they're going to score a touchdown, make it happen.
Quick score.
Get it out of the way.
Yep.
And then boom, Cody Fajardo is leading that defense or that offense down the field. Cody Fajardo puts the ball exactly where his receiver can catch it in the end zone.
Perfect time.
It was a perfect catch.
A perfect
and
throw.
And a dropped ball. I'm sorry, Taylor, but there needs to be action about this. This is too many times. You cannot continually let your team, your teammates, your city, your fans down with lackluster, boneheaded mental mistakes like that late in games.
I don't think the club's going to allow that to continue, to be honest with you.
You can't.
But Jay, what's the depth like on the roster of that position? Like
weak.
Well, here's an interesting time of year that we're coming into right now. And I'm not sure if they still do it like this, but mid-August, late August is when the NFL starts making their cuts. And, when I was playing, you'd come into practice after a tough game and there'd be half a dozen new lockers in the locker room next to yours, and there'd be some guys that just got released from the NFL that are hungry. And, maybe this is an opportunity for the club to look down south for some of the turnover that's coming out of the camps.
It's got to be.
There's room to improve, for sure.
There is. But at the end of the day, this team is now 1-6. You look at what that offense did. Cody Fajardo was 20 of 25 for 257s, a touchdown, an interception. He'd probably like that interception back.
Definitely wanted that one back.
As a player I mentioned in the pregame show, Stavros Katsantonis, sitting back there, ball hawking like a safety's supposed to do. That's a tough one. Probably could have went the other way to Curly Gittins Jr., who had opened up a little bit later. But that's going to happen from time to time anyhow. If you want to compare quarterbacks, if you want to look, Bo Levi Mitchell was 30 for 42, 350 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you look pretty awesome today. The streak continues.
Very impressive. The Elks did run the ball. They ran the ball more than they have.
And I thought it had a good positive impact on the way that they were to play call for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Now, so we're gonna dive into it and go through, what happened at the start of the game. Obviously, the delay. That was,
Well, the very, very start of the game. How about 2-play touchdown drive just to open up after a big return?
Yeah, terrible start.
That was a tough start.
Let's dive into the game. And please, if you want to contact us, get in touch with us. The text line's open, 780-218-9999, or hit us up in the nasty chat on the YouTube stream. Check in, say hello, and give us a thumbs up for good old Taylor Inglis. I probably should have, for those that didn't watch the pregame show, my apologies. I'm joined today. Matthew Wanek is away, but I am joined today by my former teammate at the Golden Bears, former Double E member from 05 to 11, Grey Cup winner in 05. This is Taylor Inglis. So give a thumbs up for Taylor Inglis. We had a great day.
That was a great day.
You can't take away the fact that, 3 dudes and my wife and kids were here. We just got to chill today.
Some Chinese food.
We ate some good Chinese food.
Yeah, watched some football.
That's been a wonderful day. Brundon was here. We were talking, catching up.
Holding it down.
Swearing at the TV.
Lots of that, yeah.
It was great. What a day. So you can never take that away from us.
Oh, we will always have.
We will always cherish our day. But yeah, the start of the game, Taylor. That was first of all, I was still in here and going over to the TV. You're like, oh no.
Well, it was a 75-yard kickoff return.
75, kickoff return. 2 plays later, bingo, bango, bongo, touchdown, 7-0 Hamilton. Yep. At that point, what were you thinking? Were you the route is on?
Oh boy! Obviously that's the first thought, but then you recompose, step back, and okay, now what? It's our turn, and that's what happened. The Elks stepped up. They ran. What was it? Cody was 3 for 3, 46 yards. Rankin was 2 runs for 15 yards. They 3 run, 5 pass, pretty balanced attack, and scored. So they came back. They answered back. They had the energy. And I think obviously that first half we've talked about was entertaining football, but after that first misstep, which the offense had nothing to do with, obviously, offense got on the field, did what they had to do.
Yep. And I was very impressed. That first quarter was a knuckle dragging.
It was a slugfest,
all out slugfest.
Awesome. It was good football. It was
7-0, 7-7, 14-7, 14-14, and then. The defense, 2 and outs. Yeah, they started forcing those 2 and outs. You cannot say that the defense was an issue in the first half. Bo Levi Mitchell's going to put up points.
And he did.
That offense is going to move. You have to limit them. I'm not sure I could find a stat that would show how many times they've actually been forced into 2 and outs, but I bet you it's quite rare. I think the Elks did it on 3 occasions today. So that's a bright spot for sure. But that, okay, before 2 minutes left in the first half, what are your thoughts on bringing in the backup quarterback Snyder to take these rushes?
Okay.
I've been openly against it from day one.
And why? Tell me why. Because you and I talked about this, but why are you so against this? Because this is a high risk play.
Is it though? Like how many times
have you been on the bottom of a pile with 300, like a dozen 300-pound men around you? Like, don't answer that question, Jimmy.
I'm just saying you're taking the ball out of the quarterback's hands, and Cody Fajardo, by the way, before the switch with Trey Ford, would come in and do the short yardage anyhow. I don't like the feel. Snyder has never been on the field with this team. He's never played a down until today. And I'm telling you, those third down conversions looked shaky all game.
I tell you what, I had a coach one time. I went and asked. I said, "Listen, I'm a long snapper. This is my specialty. I would like to take a more active role in the teams. I would like to go down and run kickoff cover and bang some heads." And he looked at me and he goes, "I would never put a surgeon in the boxing ring." And I was like, "Okay, I hear you. That makes a lot of sense." In the same regard, you shouldn't put your starting quarterback in harm's way if you don't have to. You don't have to have a high skilled player take that snap. And I'm not saying that they're not all high skilled players, because they're quarterbacks. They are. But as it relates to your level of risk tolerance within your game plan and your strategy, that's what you do.
Yeah. I just don't like it. And I'm not saying that's the reason. I mean, Mark Cordy got blown up into the backfield to disrupt that third down and goal attempt. Not a good look there. I just would like to see the ball in Cody's hands. But what are you going to do? That's not the reason they lost the game. But if you're looking at missed opportunities, maybe it is the reason it's one of the reasons that contributed to the loss. Yeah. Okay. One of the factors, that contributed to the loss. If you look at missed opportunities for this team, though, you cannot make more than one of those a game.
No, the turnovers on third?
The turnover on the third down and going into halftime.
They're terrible.
That was a Bill Belichick special, when you'd go down and score before halftime and then get the ball in the second half.
Gotta score.
I mean, that's how that guy won Super Bowl after Super Bowl. Well, that's why this team doesn't win. It's because it's just shooting themselves in the foot continually. You have a defense that showed out today, right? You had a defense that limited Hamilton's rushing attack to 60 yards on 14 carries. That's pretty good. Justin Rankin and Javon Leake almost rushed for 100 yards together. I don't count Fajardo. I don't count Snyder. I'm not going to...
I'm wondering if you and I are looking at different stat lines here.
Well, the stat line you're looking at includes other rushers like Stephen Dunbar Jr.
Fajardo.
And Fajardo.
I see.
I'm just looking at the running backs. But at the halftime, Cody Fajardo was 11 of 11 for 186 yards.
Yeah.
Right.
And he finished 20 for 25 for 257 and a tug.
So I think the debate, at least for now, well, maybe not. Okay. Because if you look at the standings and you say, when is this season Caputo done, finito? It's getting pretty close, because Winnipeg got a win last night. The only team that Edmonton really needs to focus on catching is the BC Lions, and the BC Lions already have the season series on them.
They do.
So not a great situation to be. Mathematically, this team is in it.
And there's always the crossover.
Well, and that's why they'd have to catch BC. If they can overtake BC, then they could definitely compete for that crossover spot. So although it's, the sky is falling, this is terrible, it's not out. It's not over yet. But this team cannot continually kick themselves in the foot.
No, and I think that's the alligator closest to the boat. That's the issue you got to deal with here today is putting wins on. You and I can sit here and coalesce about making the playoffs, but if I'm in that locker room right now, I'm worried about putting up a win next week. And I think there's some good lessons here today. And you know what? You're right, Jay. We didn't score on third down on the goal line a couple of times, but we're knocking on the door, right? And to me, that's from what I've seen and the progress that this organization is making. I think we are trending. Am I happy? No. Do I expect to make the playoffs? No. But we're going to have a good football team here in this city for a long time.
Well, and up next for this team is going to be heading out east to Montreal, which, as you know, that's not an easy place to play.
No, it's a tough place.
There's a lot of distractions on the field and off the field.
Yeah, and it's a good squad too. Like they're a weapon in the East.
The saving grace for, this team is that McLeod Bethel Thompson is the quarterback in Montreal. And he's hit and miss. He is not as dynamic. He's not as consistent as what you and I saw today out of Bo Levi Mitchell.
Is he as good or better than Cody Fajardo?
Cody Fajardo is much better than MBT. Much more consistent. Yeah. That is a game now that they just got to go out and win. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. So send us in if you have any texts, if you have anything you want to get to or comments about the game, please go ahead and send them in. Babbage Stash in the inbox. And sorry, we can't respond to your emails right now. Something's up with the with our system. Babbage Stash says, I blame your boy Stavros. Yeah, I do. I mean, the guy just makes plays against Edmonton.
And honestly, he was flying around.
He was flying around.
Well, hey, except for that first touchdown, he got truck sticked.
He did. Scalding Gord says, gotta say I'm surprised that the Elks contained the Ticats this well.
I think so too.
Disappointed they couldn't get the win. I was there. Yes, the coaching decisions were questionable to me. Completely agree with protecting the starting QB on short yardage.
Thank you. And listen, I also agree with that general sentiment. That was a good football game. I thought that overall they played well. Were there some glaring mistakes that cost us? Yes. Were there some stupid penalties and some shit that stuff that shouldn't have happened, like that offside in the first quarter? Yes. And there are mental mistakes, and it is sloppy. So those are things I think you can improve upon. And I'm hopeful that this is sort of just building momentum. And yes, again, it's another tough loss, but we're getting better.
Now, okay, I appreciate that.
I thought you were the optimist.
Well, here's the thing: is I have to be realistic at some points too.
Well, let's be real.
I appreciate what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but at what point for a fan base that really hasn't had anything to celebrate since the last time when Michael Riley was here in 2015, this fan base has had nothing to celebrate in terms of this franchise, this organization. So how long are you going to ask this, and maybe you can provide insight given that you were there for a bit of a process with the at that time, the Eskimos, it seems like they're getting there, but close enough, unfortunately, right now is not good enough to satisfy the quench of this fan base. And I understand. I get it. I feel for them. I feel like this was a game that was there.
Yes, it was. And it should have been ours.
And it slipped through their hands. Right. So how long is available? How long would you suggest that if
as a fan?
Yeah.
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes.
I will be here behind the green and gold and the double E as long as it takes. That's the deal. Okay.
Shaggy in St. Albert. Shaggy in St. Albert is always interesting in the chat.
All right, Shaggy.
He is not an optimist.
Oh.
He's rather much more a pessimist. Whereas my cup I would view as half full. His is almost empty. He says, nothing to celebrate since they were called the Esks. The name change thing did not bring on a terrible football team. The name change did not affect them to go 0-9, 0-7, 0-7, 3 seasons in a row. That the product on the field has nothing to do with the name change. You can have all the feeling you want about the name change.
I'm going to hold on a second there. I actually think that there's some overlap here. I don't think that there's causation, but there's certainly correlation, and the name was changed, and the decisions that were made around that. And I think decisions like that, and the individuals that were making decisions like that were impacting not only things like the name change, but things like hiring, things like team culture through hiring, and things like that. So I don't think it's fair to say that those two things are not related in any way, shape, or form, because I think that there are some lines that are overlapping there.
But the actual physical change of the name
No.
I understand what you're saying, but there's still people that say that this is, well, you shouldn't have changed the name. That wouldn't, your Lux would be different. But I understand, and I've never heard that side of it, Taylor, to say, well, okay, but you got to understand that the same people that made the decisions to do that were the same people that went out and hired, some general managers that didn't know football from soccer.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So, okay, that I can agree with. Okay, let's get into this. After halftime, they came out, had a massive first drive, 4-play, 55-yard drive, touchdown, pass to Justin Rankin. And then 7:06 left in the third quarter, 3rd and 7. And we're sitting there wondering, why are they going for this at 3rd and 7? And it should have been a sack. That absolutely should have been a sack.
Yeah.
Bo Levi Mitchell turns it into a 50-yard long bomb. Go ahead.
I would say logically, it made no sense to make that decision.
No,
none at all.
But as we found out, their snapper Gordon White had injured his shoulder earlier in the third quarter, which pretty much rendered their snap game useless.
Useless. Didn't have one.
Now, I said to Taylor immediately, I'm like, what are the odds that the only time I've ever seen a game, I guess, impacted in a way, like in a manner such as it was today, and I have a former professional long snapper sitting here, you can't make this stuff up.
The timing is impeccable indeed.
Why do they not have, okay, so you were a long snapper for what, 6 years? 7 years. I guess 6 years with Edmonton, sorry. Yep. 7 years because you had 1 year with Winnipeg. When you went on a road trip, did you not have somebody that could, like, I mean, I can long snap if you press me into it. I could, not professionally, but I could. Like, do you not have somebody on the roster that you could say, hey,
yes,
if Gordon White goes down,
you're up.
You're the guy.
Absolutely. On basically every roster in the CFL I ever played on, I had a backup. And usually it was, well, Odell Willis was a backup of mine in the Eskimo days. Mike Maurer was a backup of mine. There were always an offensive lineman here or there that could do the short snap. So there's generally somebody there that in the emergency or in a pinch, you don't have to go for it on 3rd and 10 from, your own 50.
So it was interesting though, because on that last drive where they scored and they had to snap the ball to kick that field goal to make it 28-24, that whoever was in there put a beam on it. Like, it was good.
They got it done.
Right. But that's a major difference between a short snap
big time and
something back to the punter.
Yeah. And generally you'll have somebody on the O-line who has got some experience with a short snap.
Do you think the CFL should, like in the NHL, you have an e-bug, an emergency backup goaltender? Do you think maybe the CFL should look into having an e-bus?
They have
emergency backup snapper.
They've had that. Honestly, when I blew my knee out in 2005, Roger Reinson, who's was the guy that had the role previous to me, was called back for the playoff run. Randy Chevrier, who was the longtime snapper in Calgary and here as well in Edmonton, same thing. He's retired from the CFL. He's a firefighter. He came back and snapped again when somebody got hurt. So it happens. It's definitely not unheard of. Actually, when I got into the league, there was a long snapper in Toronto, Skorchinski.
Okay,
Scorcher, and he was a veteran in the league, and he was pretty good at what he did. I think it was John Skorchinski. Anyways, he negotiated it such that he didn't have to go to practice. He only showed up on game days. And I heard, and I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I heard that later in his career, he was like a pastor or a priest, and he would preach to the flock, and then show up on game days and snap footballs, and then head back and carry on as a man of God. No kidding. So there's always long snappers lurking somewhere.
Just got to peer behind enough doors and whatnot. Okay. If you could, do you think, we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, but oh well. Do you think you could step in right now? Like Hamilton's down a long snapper. That looked like collarbone-ish. That looked like, I mean, you're maintaining a really good level of fitness. You look great. You seem to be hitting the gym probably harder than you ever did during your playing days.
Oh, definitely not. But I appreciate the sentiment.
Could you? The phone rings and it's Scott Milanovich saying, "Taylor, I know you're lurking out there. Do you still got it? Could you zip one back like nothing, like a zip, like riding a bike?"
Do you remember when we were at your daughter's party?
Yes.
In the backyard, and who was it? Your brother-in-law. And I had a snap off. What was that? 2 or 3 summers ago?
Yeah.
And I could still fire it back there. It wasn't a tight spiral, but it got to your hip.
It got on the hip,
and it had some heat to it. So, worst case scenario,
it may not look pretty, but it's getting there.
It'd be ugly, but I think we could get it done. Yeah.
Oh, Taylor, I think you could still. I think you'd be fine.
It'd be the coverage I'd be worried about. And honestly, that was always my problem anyways, just getting downfield to make plays. So
now I want to touch on something that, so we're going to keep breaking down the game. Like I said, if you have anything you want to contribute, good or bad. I mean, if you want to tell me I'm an idiot, go ahead. Everybody has an opinion here. We're not here to say I'm right, you're wrong. We're here to express opinions of which I have some of my own. Taylor has some of his own, and we want to hear from you. So 780-218-9999 is the way you can contact us on the text line, or hit us up in the nasty chat. There's quite a few people watching right now. So just get in there, put in any comments. Tell us what you think of this team. Tell us what you think needs to change with this team, if anything. Other than that, they just simply, here's the thing that I said about the team last year. Tell me if you think this is fitting. That last year's team didn't only lose games, but they found ways to lose the game.
Yes, I would say that would hold true for potentially the last, half a dozen years.
Yeah, I just think that this is just continually happening. It's almost becoming pattern-like, where there's something, and I think somebody said it earlier in the chat, like, okay, ifs, what ifs.
And I agree, because now you get to the point where you're just like, okay, enough of that. We have to make a change. What does that look like, and what do we have to do? Because at some point, it isn't good enough to get close and continue to drop balls in the end zone.
Yeah. I wonder, Stealth Legends asks in the nasty chat, Jay, is there any way we can get a game-changing receiver from another team in a trade? I mean,
which name comes to mind?
Well, when I would think of let's go into, let's see here.
I still think at this point in the season, you're going to get some NFL cuts.
Well, that's a good point, Taylor. And that's happening. When is the first round of cuts in the NFL?
Next weekend. They had I think preseason started on Thursday night. Did it not? Right?
Yes, it did.
So the first preseason games are taking place. They'll do a couple preseasons, then a round of cuts, and then 2 more preseasons with a round of cuts after each round.
I mean, you'd have to look at a team with some depth at the receiver position, and then what are you looking to flip the other way?
I don't know. What are you giving up?
I don't know. Trey Ford's not playing right now.
Yeah, well, okay. So who becomes your second? Who backs up Cody?
The guy that take the snap.
The guy you don't want touching the ball.
I don't know. But Taylor, that's a great point, because that is true. And you usually see a handful of guys, like you said, showing up in the next coming weeks.
I would pump the brakes. I would say, let's just see what happens over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, and obviously we don't have time at 1-6, but realistically, we're not going to get an impact player that's going to come onto the roster at 1-6 and turn us around into an 8-8 team, or 9-9 team, frankly. And if you look at the schedule coming up,
there's some winnable games here. Yeah,
there are. But you got Calgary back to back and Labor Day. You're going out to Montreal. It could, we could be in a situation that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah, and that's true. I don't know. I think the receiving core, like Stephen Dunbar Jr., I like
fantastic.
Curly Gittins Jr. We really didn't hear from Kion Julian Grant until it was the worst thing possible, of the ball literally going through his hands. I mean, you gotta understand that is just unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like that is just not cool at all. Well, like that's the kind of stuff that get you out of text conversations and group chats in the team, man. Like this is bad. I mean, I don't even know if he'll be allowed to shower in the locker room today.
We talked about Ed earlier. Ed's watching that. Ed is a receiver. He is a man of action. I can almost guarantee you that will not stand.
Now, Ed is also the person that when it came to receivers, he chose not to re-sign. The name's escaping me right now. It was the big receiver from last year, Geno Lewis, and say we don't pay superstars money in the CFL, something to that sentiment, and said we need to build this team from the center out. So we need to pay money to the guys in the middle, the spine of the team. And
okay, what's the spine of the team?
Your center, they brought in David Beard. Your quarterback, they paid Trey Ford a lot of money. They have Metier that they brought in at safety.
So from a anatomy perspective, what would a stud receiver be then?
A thumb.
Really?
Maybe an elbow.
If your center is your spine and your quarterback is your skull, your receiver's got to be your full arm or something like that.
Maybe a good receiver would be a full arm.
Well, Eugene Lewis would be a full arm.
Eugene Lewis I would give you a good, and he'd
potentially two arms,
and he'd have a good bicep too. Like he'd be a strong arm. he'd be one of the stronger arms you would see for certain. But you know what I mean? It's not acceptable. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting repetitive, but I just cannot stop. Just excuse these drops much longer. And obviously they have Niles Morgan and Nick Anderson in the middle of that spine as well. So they've invested a lot of money into that. Now, at the delay, Cody Fajardo was 16 of 16, 226, 1 touchdown. They had rushed the ball 11 times for every 80 yards. They were 3 of 4 in the red zone. And I asked on Twitter, I put out a quick poll, said, who do you think this break is going to affect more? Right? And you said
Hamilton.
Right. And 66% of the people online said Edmonton. Now, I don't know if either of that was right, because if a certain player makes a catch at a very timely portion of the game, then this didn't affect Edmonton. And we're probably talking about a victory right now. Now, I mean, Bo Levi could have come back. There was a minute left. Could have marched it, kicked the field goal, tied. The game still could be. Who knows? But it all slipped through the hands of Kion Julian Grant, unfortunately. So we'll never know. But that delay, Taylor, have you been involved in a weather delay, smoke delay?
Couple of them.
Okay. So, I mean, Tom Gazzola was on the broadcast. He did a great job getting some insight from a few players in the locker room. But what is that?
It's tough.
What do you do in the locker room? Do you gear down?
Oh yeah.
You just get comfy.
You just get comfy. Honestly, as soon as you can get your shoulder pads and jersey off, you take them off, because those are really tight and uncomfortable, and nobody enjoys walking around in those if you don't have to. Mm-hmm. But no, on a number of occasions in Saskatchewan, a couple of times when I was playing for the Eskimos, and this would have been back in the old Taylor Field days, where the field was bowed up in the middle, and we had gotten sent off the field for lightning and rain and one of those, epic prairie storms that blows in. And the one time we lose power and the hallways start flooding, and our locker, there's water flowing into the locker room, and we've got like towels underneath the door, and we've got the emergency lights on.
Oh my word.
Waiting for the storm to pass. And I bet you we waited 2 hours. And at that point you go back out on the field and you're trying to get back into it. We ended up losing that game to Saskatchewan, in a game that we had been leading going into that. So that was tough. And then there's a few other games, one in Edmonton, one one in Winnipeg. Just wild weather. Yeah, and lightning comes up out of nowhere, and you're off the field. And then losing the power in Saskatchewan, that was different. One time we lost the power at Edmonton as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So you go in there. Are you eating? Are you hydrating? What do you?
Oh yeah. We always in the locker rooms we had tables full of power bars and fruit and snacks and all kinds of high electrolyte, high protein, fuel effectively. Bagel stacks of bagels. Right. So you're in there and you're trying to stay warm. You're riding on the bike. Some guys would go in the sauna and just try and sit there, keep warm. Take their pads off. Other guys are playing cards or bullshitting or messing around.
That's all right. don't stress about it.
You try and keep your mind active and you try and keep engaged. And some guys are watching film and
so there's no unified, defense over here. Offense.
There will be for sure, but you can't do
because you never know.
You never know how long that's going to take. So you circle up, you say, hey, listen, here's what we're looking at. And so we don't, as you get called off the field, you generally don't have any idea what the cell of weather looks like or, what's coming at you, what type of delay you're looking at. So the coach will give you an update and you say, okay, great. You've got, minimum of 45 minutes or this is what we're looking at. And you guys can meet and talk about X, Y, Z or just relax. And stay loose. And that's the advice. Stay loose, stay into it, keep sharp.
This comes in from Scott M. in the nasty chat. Ed is a dumb, terrible GM. Okay. Like I said earlier, I love your opinions. I love to hear them, but show your work. Yeah. If you're going to come on here and say that Ed is a dumb, terrible general manager, which by the way, I 100% disagree with you. Show your work. Tell me why. And you don't have to make an essay out of it, but just give some points. Tell us why you think Ed is a terrible, dumb GM. This comes in.
Sorry, hold on a second. That's an unfortunate comment. I understand. We're all emotional. Tough loss.
Absolutely.
The last two Grey Cups that this team has won, Ed was a player and an architect. I think that we underestimate Ed. I know him quite well, and there's a lot going on there. That guy plays a different level of chess. He's playing 3D chess.
That's a good way to put that.
And I think it's tough sometimes to see the forest for the trees, but Ed's the guy.
Well, that's a great point. And as you've alluded to, there is a process that's happening here.
Yep.
And the New England Patriots did not become the New England Patriots overnight. That took quite a while to build. And I'm not at all comparing this. I'm just giving you a frame of reference to that these things don't just happen overnight. You can have the dream team in the front office. You can have Mark Killam as your head coach, who I think is a budding, rising head coach that I think will become quite successful.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen overnight.
No, you can't put those three pieces of the puzzle into place and not have the roster to support that, right? Like there's a lot more than that. And that's a great first step. We've got a real solid foundation to build from moving forward. And that's what Chris and Mark and Ed provide you, is a solid foundation to build from.
Quick kicks. When's the last time you saw a quick kick?
Yeah. Couldn't tell you. Honestly.
Well, they were lining up for that one, and we're saying, man, this one's 3rd and 10. And this was before any of it was reported that their long snapper, Gordon White, had been injured. And you're thinking, wow, they're getting quite aggressive on these third downs. And then Bo Levi Mitchell pulls off the old quick kick, what I thought was quite impressive.
It was. And honestly, they weren't far from recovering that either.
Yeah, like the JJ Ross did a good job getting under it, catching it.
Yes.
And then I'm just standing there saying, get down. Just get down. That's not your job.
No.
Just take a knee, give yourself up. But I mean, if you look at the facets of a football game, you have the offense, you have the defense, and you have special teams. To win a game, generally 2 of those 3 facets have to be better than the other team.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the defense played pretty well. I mean, they didn't limit.
Listen, somebody said that earlier on the chat, to limit Bo Levi in this offense to just 28 and to keep a lid on that I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. And if you look at, big plays, Hamilton only had one big play, which is either a 20-plus rush or a 30-plus pass. And Edmonton, this is the first time this season that they've had more big plays in a game than their opponent. They had one rush for over 20 yards. They had one pass for over 30 yards. Special teams, you got to give the advantage to Edmonton. Although you look at...
Aside from that opening kickoff.
Well, aside from that, which skews the numbers here, but Hamilton was 4 for 140 on kickoff returns. Edmonton was 5 for 130. Both are great numbers. If you're a special teams coordinator, you're looking at those numbers saying, damn, we got ourselves a special team unit here.
Bad day. But again, you're also on the flip side of that, you're giving up 135. So your return game needs some help.
That's true. But Edmonton's return game on kickoffs this year has been probably one of the strengths of their team. Having Javon Leak back there has when he gets those legs moving,
he was flying around there today. That was impressive.
Right. So you have to, and obviously Cody Grace, punter, sees that he shanked a little bit of a putt.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we have to talk about it. We got
an athlete as a punter. Listen, for him to have the wherewithal and the football knowledge to understand that he shanked it and to have an opportunity to get downfield and make a play like that and to be athletic enough to go and do that. I was impressed. There's only a few other punters I've played with or knew of that would do stuff like that. Grant Shaw used to do that from time to time.
Yeah, he was a heck of an athlete.
Prefontaine.
Sure.
Noel Prefontaine used to do that from time to time.
Noel Prefontaine used to like to hit too.
He would come downhill from time to time.
He was Pat McAfee before Pat McAfee was around.
He just wanted to be.
But yeah, Cody Grace. Cody Grace and Justin Ranker were actually on the hangout here. They came in on their bye week.
Oh, nice.
And I got to meet Cody Grace, and I said this to you, but you're what, 6'4"?
6'2".
6'2", you're big. Cody Grace is bigger than you. And he's a punter. But this guy comes from an Aussie rules football background, and you could see it there on him chasing that down. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, it was awesome to see it. And it brings a different element to your special teams. If you're a special teams coordinator and you can plan for stuff like that, like you can strategically decide to execute something like that at a key point in the game, which may change the tide of that game or a season, depending on the importance of that game. So, having a weapon, it's just one extra weapon. You talk about this game of inches. Well, I want to have just one more weapon than my other, the guy I'm playing against.
Scott M did respond. Thanks, Scott M. I appreciate that. He said, looking at his moves here, he has set up a team with terrible quarterback options, worst in the league with Ottawa, poor receivers, a weak old line. I know the retort will be, it is early, but there are no building blocks with this team moving forward. Okay, I do have to agree with you with terrible quarterback options. Trey Ford is not the guy. That's pretty clear.
Was that known though at the beginning of the year or when that contract?
Oh no. Trey Ford was brought in to be the guy that had the opportunity.
Yeah.
They said, you're the guy. He's proven to be not the guy.
Yeah.
But that's why Ed went out and brought in Cody Fajardo.
Okay, check.
Who is clearly capable.
So 2 for 2.
Yeah. Poor receivers. I agree with you. I think Ed might have missed a bit on thinking the depth at receiver was better than it actually is. I don't know that Stephen Dunbar, who is the Elks' number one receiver, would be a number one receiver on any other team in the league. So, okay, I agree with you on that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
If Julian Grant catches a couple more balls, we're not having the same conversation.
100%. And that's what really stings about this all, right? That's what stings. We've sat here all year and we've been through this, and it's just the little things, man. And until that gets ironed out, this team will just find other ways to lose.
Well, let me ask you, did you or I or anybody here expect that in season 1 going into week 7, we would be unbeaten. We would be on the path to the Grey Cup, that we would have been able to escape a decade of mismanagement of poor leadership. And that was all going to happen in one off season and a third of a CFL season.
You know what? I'll be honest, Taylor. I thought that the turnaround would happen, that you'd see signs of it. And maybe that's maybe when I look back at this at the end of the season, maybe games like this will actually be, oh, Jay, there were signs.
There were signs
of this team being competitive, as in taking a game against Hamilton to the brink, right? Because Hamilton is widely thought of, especially now as Calgary's lost Vernon Adams Jr. Hamilton's kind of in the driver's seat in terms of the CFL. Who's the top dog in the CFL? You'd have to say Hamilton. So maybe the signs are there, and I'm just too close to the situation right now to realize it. So I appreciate that in Taylor, and I think you're right. But like Scott M said, how long do I have to wait? Because he says, the retort will be, it's early, but there are no building blocks, at least in his opinion, moving forward. I want to read this to you, Taylor, and get your thoughts on this. This comes in on the text inbox 780-218-9999. This comes in from Atif. Just got home from the game. I honestly don't know what to feel anymore. This comment is going to really probably piss people off, but I'm going to say to you, I think losing is a part of the culture right now. I don't think this team knows how to change it. I love the Elks and I love this organization. I love going to the games, but I'm honestly getting fed up. Sure, this game was fun and exciting to watch, but it's another loss. We're 1-6, unfortunately. The Elks are the worst team in the CFL. The team is better than what the record shows, but I honestly don't think this team knows how to win, and that comes down to coaching and leadership. What would you say to Atif, Taylor?
You're not wrong. I actually that's pretty bang on. I get the sentiment and the frustration and the emotion. I think a lot of us are feeling the same way. But my retort would be, you have to be patient, right? It's a long season. A guy can get injured in week 2, break his leg, wrist, whatever, dislocate his shoulder, and instances, honestly, early season injuries with knee injuries. Like, the season is so long that those guys can rehab and come back and still be impactful by the end of the year. And I guess what I'm trying to say by that is it is a really long season. We've got a long way to go. We have been at the bottom of the barrel from the CFL standpoint for a long time. And like I said, we're not going to go from we couldn't possibly get worse to competing for playoff or Grey Cup. We certainly, I was hopeful to be competitive for a playoff position.
Yeah, I think that was the general sentiment and the thought.
And I'm not saying it couldn't happen. We could end up being a 9-9 squad if we end up going 6-3 or 6-3 down the stretch.
Yeah, what are we in? We're in weeks. This is their 7th game, so they have 11 games left.
Yeah, sorry, 8-3 down the stretch.
That would be phenomenal. If they could do that, they'd make the playoffs.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you get in with 8. There's
as a crossover team.
Crossover, probably.
Like we talked about,
probably.
BC's already got us the season series.
I mean, if you look at the standings right now, what is Winnipeg's already with that win? I think they're at, what is it here? Bombers are already at 4 wins.
They're 4-3. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, hey, if you could do that, Taylor, that would be great. But I think that's one of the Atif's been a regular contributor to Edmonton Sports Talk since its inception, and prior to that at the old place. I think that is one of the better, most well-written statements that I've heard from Atif.
And I think, Jay, it's timely in the sense that you and I were talking earlier about the culture of the team and what guys like Chris and Ed and Mark were brought in to do in terms of changing that culture. And I don't think those comments about the culture of losing are far-fetched or, frankly, far from the truth. I think it has been a tough place to win football games for a number of years, and the idea of bringing Chris and Ed back to change that culture and to bring it back to the glory days that were the evil empire and the Double E when we were winning games and frankly competing for Grey Cup titles year after year. And honestly, I do have faith that we will get back there, but it wasn't going to happen with the roster that we had, with the history over the last decade that we've had in the first 6-8 weeks of the season. You know, we do have to be patient, and frankly, we're bone. We're green and gold. We're going to be here forever. I am going to support this team for as long as I am here. But it does get tough losing.
But what leads to the change, specifically what Atif said there in terms of losing is a part of the culture right now.
That's what they're trying to change.
But how do you change that without winning? You know what I mean? I mean that really simplifies things, but I'm serious. Like, how do you take like what happened today? And I mean, really, we're picking the nit here, but you can throw this into 2 plays, essentially, maybe 3 plays that cost them this win, of which they were in control of their destiny. These are offensive plays in which they were in control.
You're talking about the 2/3 stops and the drop ball?
That's what I'm talking about. You know, how does that change? Because I think we're having a totally different conversation. If both those happen, this might be a rout. I mean, they go into halftime up 21-14. They get the ball back and they go and score. It's 28-14.
That's what I'm saying. So
you just think it's that close.
We're
Like at least to flipping the script to saying, okay, this team is not Grey Cup bound, but this team is no longer the laughing stock of the CFL.
agreed.
You think that's in distance, in striking distance?
I think that's in striking distance.
Well, I think that might provide some solace for some sad fans, some fans that have stood beside this team, this organization through a lot of poor play, a lot of, changes, right? Like Atif mentioned. That would be good. But culture change also can't teach your defense how to tackle.
No. And that's where there's roster questions, right? And
there is.
It's always the end of August airlift when the NFL cuts come. The
end of August airlift. I like that. Wow.
And honestly, I don't know if they still do it, but I remember years where they had to bring in extra lockers, or they had taken one of the visitor locker rooms in Commonwealth and converted it into an extra room for all of the NFL cuts that they had brought in to try. And that was a similar season to this, when we were really, scraping the bottom of the barrel. And it happened to Winnipeg too. I mean, I played on a 4-14 Bomber team in 2010, and
a 4-14.
4-14. That's a tough season.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of turnover on the roster, and a lot of guys coming in from the South to try and have an impact. And honestly, sometimes it doesn't work at all. Sometimes you just flail around, and those guys come in and they can't pick up the game. And it is a different game. It's if you come in as a left tackle in the CFL versus the NFL, you could be in tough, right? Like, it is a very different game. So that's not always the answer, but I don't know. Can anybody here that's listening, or Jay, can you tell me if any sort of mid-season trade in the CFL, or any sort of player movement that's ever been impactful to the point where it changed the fortunes of a team's season?
Well, usually what you see, is players returning to their team after they've been cut, going to try make it down south. You'll see a lot of that. But no, I don't. You don't see a lot of trades in the CFL period during the season
ever.
Right. So it's going to be hard to, but if there's anybody that could do this, and you can attest to this, I mean, Ed Hervey has found some diamonds in the rough, particularly at the receiver position.
Yes.
You ever heard of a guy, Brandon Zylstra? Right? He plucked him out of nowhere, came to Edmonton, lit the league on fire, went down south and played for Minnesota.
Ed has always had the ability to go out and scout talent. And that was sort of how he, once he was finished playing or done with playing, gotten into the management side of it and the administrative side of the game. And he was a scout, and he was a great scout. He could always identify and bring talent back to the organization. He did a great job of that for a long time. And that's where, you look again at his track record, and you see, you got to give him time. He's got to go, got to have the ability to go out and tap into those networks and, potentially mine a couple of those fields over a couple of years to find some real impactful talent. How often do you find a new CFL quarterback come into the league and be super effective or impactful? It's rare. I would argue that it is rare for a Cody Fajardo or a Ricky Ray or a Jason Moss or some of these guys to come into the league. They don't come in very often. There's far more turnover. That's why guys like Bo Levi have been doing it for 14 years.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got the work cut out.
Well, there was a victory today. There was a few. We got to hang out, right, Brennan?
Big win.
Got to show the fam the new studio. We had Chinese food, which is
some pretty good ginger beef.
It's a good day.
Good day.
I'm ordering the ginger beef, and I'm like, yeah, ginger beef sound good. And Taylor's like, order 2. The ginger beef hits hard, and look, we like our Chinese food, so that was delightful. But Jay, and Tay's play of the day for Play Alberta hit. We hit it. Tiger-Cats, Elks, 50 plus total points. Cody Fajardo, 250 plus passing yards. He ended up with 257. We had Justin Rankin at 45 plus rushing yards. He ended up with 69. And we had Stephen Dunbar Jr. with 4 or more receptions. He ended with 4. We nailed that. So if you were riding with us, that was plus 405.
Nice.
That's a big number.
That's a big win.
We're talking big numbers. We're talking, Brendan, if you would have put like $500 on that, you could have bought a new car kind of numbers, man. This is a big one. So
did you put $500 on it, Jay?
I didn't. I call those like a little sprinkler. Yeah, I'll tell you what I put. I put $25 on it.
Oh, hey, that's a win.
You know what that turned into? $126.
It turns out to a family dinner at...
That paid for the Chinese, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, what a day. What a day. Those are sprinkler bets for me because you just not, look, there's a reason they're a plus 405. There's a lot of things that need to happen to make it work. But credit to Matty. He kind of took the leadership on that one and cooked that one up. And made Jay's play of the day happen. Okay, we're getting to the end here. I wanted to read a couple more things that came in. This is from Bruce from William Huff, who they do all of our wraps.
Yep.
They did everything in the studio, which, I mean...
Place looks great, by the way.
Yeah, what'd you think? It's pretty sweet, eh?
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And once everything, we're moving in. There's boxes and stuff.
I can tell. I'm not judging.
Yeah, we'll get there, and I'll have to have you back. By the way, you've been doing phenomenal. Everybody's saying how great you are, including Bruce from William Huff. He says, tough loss for me, but lots of positives. Taylor sounds like a professional broadcaster. Always enjoyed chatting with him.
Hey,
for
Bruce.
Ed, he is building something good here. Let's stay patient and positive, and so lucky to hang with Tommy on the sideline today. Great insight, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Bruce from William Huff. We appreciate you. Bruce is he's almost like our dad here.
He's like the uncle.
He takes care of us. He's a funkle. Yeah, he's the cool uncle. That's Bruce from William Huff. So thanks for listening, Bruce. We appreciate your insight. Hamilton knocks off Edmonton 28-24 in, I would say, heartbreaking fashion.
Definitely heartbreaking.
But if you look at this from a 10-mile view, if you were looking at this from, say you're watching you just want to watch a football game on a Saturday afternoon and you're in Winnipeg, you were entertained.
I was entertained up until the rain delay, and if I was doing it in that fashion, I likely would have turned the game off and carried on with my day because
you couldn't.
An hour and a half rain delay is tough to sit through. So as a former player who's dealt with that, that's kudos to the guys for coming out and keep fighting for that last quarter. But that is definitely a heartbreaking loss, Jay.
Charlie Dufault in the nasty chat. Taylor rules. Keep this guy around, Jay. Great input. Ace 96 says this guest is a realist. Good to see and so rare.
Hey, that's good. I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah. So everybody's loving you, Taylor. Final thoughts on today's game.
Man, it's a tough loss. And it doesn't bode well for the rest of the season. It's not to say that it can't be done, because I do see good things. I do see positives. They are trending well. I know what they're trying to build, and I think that they're going to get there. It may not be as quickly as we would all like, The decision about, pulling Trey and putting in Cody, you got to do it. And I think that'll pay dividends. I think it'll help them, turn the season around. And obviously demonstrating this last couple games, Cody's got it.
Looks pretty good.
He looks good. The O-line stepped up today. Defense looked better. Special teams, I thought, aside from that 75-yard return to open the game, the boys looked pretty solid. We got a pretty good field position most of the game. Our RIP to my long snapper brother in Hamilton. Speedy recovery, my man.
Gordon White is down.
Come on, Gordy, we need you back. But you know what? All in all, it was an entertaining football game. The rain delay made it tough. The boys, failed to squeak out a win here. But it was a nice afternoon hanging out with you, Jay.
Hey, I will take. Yes, 100%. It's funny how when life goes by and you grow up and you've got a wife and 2 daughters. I've got a wife and 3 daughters.
I got 3.
Or sorry, 3.
We both have 3 daughters.
3 daughters. We're both screwed.
Yes.
In about 4 or 5 years.
Actually, may I? Lucy, Madison, and Sloan.
Yes.
Love you. Shout out, girls. I know you're listening right now with Grandpa and Grandma and Mom. Mel, I love you. Thank you, girls, for being patient with me.
The good old shout out. It's funny. The girls were in here during the game doing a fake news show. They just love it.
Yeah.
They just enjoy that. You put your earpieces in and you can hear yourself talk. Really groovy. And they were playing with the soundboard. So I'm going to allow you just to press.
Can I DJ here, Dave?
Press one of those colored buttons. Let's see. No, not that one. Press that.
You're going to live with me now.
Can everybody hear this?
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to take care of you.
You want to do the truffle shuffle, Jay?
Yes. Ace 96, good guest, the non-delusional sports person. Penner's Pancakes, very good guest. And Calvin C says, keep Taylor on as a pro analyst. You're getting some love here, brother, and you deserve it. You did fantastic. I appreciate you hanging out with us today. Brendan, I appreciate you coming in reliever status. You're the guy. You're the man. You did a great job. Elks fall 28-24, as we said, in heartbreaking fashion to the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. But they're right back at it this Friday as they head out to Montreal. We are going to be broadcasting the Green and Gold Kickoff Show next Friday live from the Nasty Bash. If you don't have plans next Friday, you got to come. Out at the St. Albert Rugby Club. So the game is at 5:30 on Friday. So here's how it's going to go. The Reed Wilkins Show is going to go from 3 to 4:30. I'm going to hop on with Maddie from 4:30 to 5:30. The game starts, and then I'm going to finish the show with Reed from 5 to 6. But you can all be there. You can all be there if you want to come to the Nasty Bash. Now, I need to open my email. Please forgive me. Just hang on. Because Matt sent something. I just got to check the email that you can send. If you are not going to the Nasty Bash and you want to go to the Nasty Bash, you need to send an email to nastybash@edmontonsportstalk.com. You need to RSVP. If you do not do that, you will not be allowed in. We need to know for number size. This is, if this could sell, well, it will, but nastybash@edmontonsportstalk.com if you want to go to that and be a part of the pregame show, be a part of the postgame show. It could be a good time. It's going to be a good time one way or another. Pray for good weather. Fingers crossed for good weather, just like we had at some points today.
Most of the game.
But we'd like to do that one from the patio out at the St. Albert Rugby Club. And we want all you nasties to be there. Thanks for listening. This has been great. Thank you, Taylor, for joining us. Thank you, Brendan. We're going to wrap this up. Once again, the Elks fall to the Hamilton Tiger-Cats 28-24. This has been the Green and Gold Kickoff and Postgame Show. On behalf of Taylor Inglis, Brendan Eric, and myself, Jay Milne, thank you, and we'll see you on Friday.